Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Manager 2018 and a brand new experiment where we're going to take a look at what would happen if you put the perfect new gen or regen into the game. Perfect stats for physicals, mentals, technicals, also the behind the scenes stats are perfect, 200 current ability, 200 potential ability. Absolutely everything frozen at the max for the player's entire career, and having a look at how they perform over the length of a player's career. So we'll probably go about 20 years into the future here. When we did this last year, we had a really enjoyable time following the player through the highs and lows. And I want you guys in the comments to let me know how many Ballon d'Ors you think this player is going to achieve by the time they retire. I think it'd be really interesting to see what your guesses are and what he actually achieves. He's free to move to whatever club he wants to move to. We're not going to interfere with him whatsoever after just letting the series run. So today we're going to go about 2 years ahead, and then next episode we're going to go 3 years ahead. Ultimately we will cover every single year of the player's career a bit at a time, looking in more detail to begin with, and then just kind of cursory looking at things going forward. But before we get into the experiment today, I do just have a little channel update. If you're not interested in this, you can skip ahead about a minute. It'll be over very quickly. But I just want to say a huge thank you to a guy called Jenan. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He has just become a channel director over on Patreon, which is incredible stuff. If anybody else would like to support the channel, do click the link in the description. I am trying to help grow the channel's content. Hopefully we'll get a new PC, new microphone so it sounds a bit better, and eventually face cam and things like that, and try and make it more professional in the future, which hopefully will be great for you guys. The second thing is also that following up on the sponsorship video I did recently, almost all of you were happy for the sponsorship to be on the channel. There wasn't actually a single negative piece of opinion on that video, which has never happened on any video I've ever done. So thank you so much guys for that. But it does mean there will be 3 videos over the next 3 months that will have a 50 to 60 second shout out on them, and then every video throughout those 3 months will just have a little logo probably on the bottom right of the screen where it won't interfere with anything, just promoting the organisation that supported me. So that will probably kick off on the 1st of next month unless anything happens to disrupt that, but it is for quite a good chunk of money, so I hope you guys understand that. But let me know if you have any concerns down in the comments. Obviously if you don't enjoy it, we don't have to do sponsorship in the future. I'm here to help create fun content for you guys, and that's what I do this for, not for the financial gain, despite everything I just said in the last minute. But there you go. So let's get into this experiment now. We're going to jump forward 1 year in time right now. We're going to see well, first we're going to take a look at the player, then we're going to jump forward 1 year in time and have a look at how his first season has gone. Now if we start to have a look for my name, this is my son, there's Mr. Jenkaldo, and then there's Jenkaldo Jr., who is my child. He was born in 2002 on the 12th of March. That means that I had him when I was 11 years old, which I'm sure is absolutely fine. There's no issues with that. You can see he has got 20 across the board. He's an out-and-out striker, superb fitness, very good dynamics, or really good dynamics. He has only been in football for 1 year, this year here, where he has been at Newcastle, trained at the club, and an English player as well, so we'll see how he does internationally. If we have a look at his attribute details, you'll see 200 current ability, 200 potential ability, 20 for most things. These ones I've not messed around with too much. I've kind of left them where they were, so dirtiness is 6, because I don't want to push like dirtiness down to 1, because sometimes I think that can be beneficial to have a player who's a bit dirty and is willing to get stuck in on a tackle. Same for controversy and temperament. You don't want a player without any kind of temper. Positions, perfect striker, perfect left foot, perfect right foot. I've not messed with the traits because they can be good and bad, and you can see that he is trained at the club as well. At the moment he's on a grand a week, full-time contract, and will be at Newcastle. I don't imagine for that long. He will probably leave even in this transfer window. I don't think he'll stay at Newcastle because big teams will want to come in for him. His reputation is exactly where it was started off, as it would be for a junior player in the Newcastle youth team. So he doesn't have excellent reputation yet, but that will change pretty much overnight with stats like this. And the stats have been frozen, so hopefully they won't change at all and will continue to be 20 for everything. So let's go forward now and see how he gets on in 1 year's time. Well, we are now 1 year into the future, and you can see that he has moved to Arsenal. And despite freezing his statistics, the game has decided to change them, which is really interesting. He's still got frozen attributes, but you cannot freeze attributes permanently. Unfortunately, the game, because of the 200 current ability, will change a lot of things around, which is a little bit frustrating, but we're just going to let it go. I know that a few of you in the comments are going to say that we could just give him the perfect statistics for the role that he plays in, but I prefer the idea of having the perfect player in every sense, and I'm not going to mess around putting 20 back up every year we go forward. So hopefully his attributes won't decline too much, but that is a natural state of a footballer, that attributes do decline. Maybe not when you're 16 years old, usually when you're 30, but we just want to let the game run. That's what we said at the start of the experiment. So the first thing we can notice is that he has moved to Arsenal. If we look at his career stats, we can see they signed him for £41 million, presumably in January, given he's had half a season at each club. For Newcastle, he got 16 goals in 27 appearances, got a couple of penalties in there, a few assists, 9 players of the match. And for Arsenal, he's gone even better. He's got 18 goals in 25 games for Arsenal with a 7.93 average rating, particularly impressive there. If we look at his milestones, you can see there are a lot of them here. First senior goal came in the Carabao Cup, set the Premier League record for youngest player. Also set the record for the youngest player to score for Newcastle and in the Premier League and in the Carabao Cup. Got his first under-21 international cap. Team of the week, several weeks in a row. English Premier Division Young Player of the Month for November. European Golden Boy in 2017. Now that is an achievement for him. And then he was bought by Arsenal the following season for 41, rising to £58 million, becoming Newcastle's record sale. He broke the Arsenal record for the youngest player to appear in a match and broke the Arsenal record for the youngest player to score in a match. So setting records everywhere he goes. He was then named in the Team of the Week, Player of the Month or Young Player of the Month for January. Team of the Week again, broke the European Cup record for youngest player to score. Premier Division Young Player of the Month for February. And again for April as well, top goal scorer in the Premier League. I don't know if that's just for Arsenal or for the Premier League as a whole, and in the Team of the Year. And they won the European or Europa League Cup this year as well. Player of the season in that competition and in the squad of the season. Named in Arsenal's best 11 despite only being there for half the season. So really absolutely shining. And he has his first piece of silverware already, which means that he will be in the Champions League next season if he stays at Arsenal. So already doing absolutely phenomenal things at Arsenal. And if we have a look at the Premier Division, then we should be able to see, there he is right at the top with 21 goals in the Premier League, ahead of Alexis Sanchez. Most player of the matches as well with 13 there. Just missed out on Juan Mata for highest average rating, not in the top assists, yellow cards, or obviously not in the clean sheets either. But you can see that Arsenal finished 4th this season and Newcastle finished 11th. So both teams sort of split benefiting from having him in the team. If we have a look at Arsenal's senior squad schedule from sort of January time when he joined, he would have joined, this is a really nice unbeaten run for them, but this is where he would have joined, and they went on such a big winning streak here. He didn't score in that game. Where did his first goal come? There it is. He scored his first goal on the 20th of January, and then the scoring dried up a little bit. He scored in the FA Cup, scored against Liverpool, scored against them, and again, no goal there. I'm not sure he's actually playing every game here. I think he is actually, looking at the team sheet on the right. He didn't play in this match though, so did miss a few games as well, and yet did so well helping them come along into the FA Cup semi-final. They actually won the FA Cup as well, but he wasn't in the team. He must have been cup tied from Newcastle. That's such a shame that he could have done the double with Arsenal this season, the FA Cup and Europa League. But he did get both goals in the Europa League final. And let's actually watch this match and see how he did in the final. Well, frustratingly, the game will not let me actually play the highlights from that game, which is a bit annoying. But he did do well. 2 goals there, man of the match, 9.5 rating, pretty much carrying the Arsenal team with Granit Xhaka, which is quite funny. But the rest of the team really struggling, didn't do that well. So he carried the team in the Europa League final, beating Bordeaux of all clubs. Also helping them to beat Man City. He got 2 goals, so did Alexis Sanchez, as they managed to knock Man City out at the semi-final stage. You can also see that they knocked Everton and Monaco out as well, which is quite impressive. Alexis Sanchez getting the goal in the home leg. 3-1 away from home though. 2 goals for Jenkaldo Jr. as he overturned Monaco and knocked them out of the competition. So he appears to have had a really good first season, scoring against United, scoring against Liverpool, getting the winning goal there, just delivering the games that really helped Arsenal to finish 4th in the Premier League. So they are back in the Champions League next season, both through the Premier League, but they'll start in the group stage because they won the Europa League. So that'll be huge for them and huge for our player as he looks to go forward. So not a bad first season there. If we have a look at the Newcastle senior squad schedule, you can see they didn't start off too well, not getting very many goals until in this match where he got his first goal for the club was in the Carabao Cup, but it was also a hat-trick, 2 penalties and a 56th minute goal, delivering the hat-trick that knocked out Blackburn and sent them through. He then scored his first Premier League goal, beating Watford 1-0. You can see him just popping up on the score sheet time after time here. They went on a really poor run of form though, despite going through in the Carabao Cup. And then knocked out in the quarter-final. He did get a goal in that game, but not enough to stop West Ham knocking them out. It looks like he played in this match. Yeah, he did in the third round game against Southampton. They did get knocked out. I'm just trying to see when he must have left the club, and it must have been pretty much straight after that game with Southampton that he left, which is a bit disappointing because that meant that he missed out on the final with Arsenal, but didn't really seem to do a lot for Newcastle's form. I mean, they finished in 11th place, so you can't take everything away from him, but interesting the way that he's managed to sort of develop there. Probably worth having a quick look at his injuries and seeing if there's anything there. He had a cold, and that's the only kind of injury that he's had. His current contract, £110 a week. He's on a youth contract. That's a bit harsh for a player valued at £70 million. But let's go forward one more year and see where he's got to in his second full season as a professional. Well, we are one more year into the future. You can see his stats haven't changed this time, so I think they've pretty much settled. Maybe his determination dropping down to 15, the only difference that I can spot. But his valuation has gone up to 82, and he's on 175 grand a week as well. So finally on a proper contract for the club, which might help him develop a little bit better. If we have a look at his contract info, you can see it's now running to 2021, so only for a couple of years. Loyalty bonus and all the rest of it, nothing too unspectacular there. But his wage will go up to 215 grand a week when he plays for England, which he has now played 2 games for England. So he is finally in the English team after getting 20 under-21 goals in just 14 games. If we have a look at his reports, what does this show us? It shows us his stats and his form. Nothing there on form, nothing there. And if we just look at his career stats, that'll be the best place to start. You can see the move there has now gone up to £49.5 million. It will continue to go up as he achieves more in the game. But he got 40 goals in all competitions in his first full season with Arsenal. 24 of those coming in the Premier League, where he played every single match and got an average rating of 8.09. But he also got 24 goals in the league in 24 goals in the league in 38 games, 2 goals in friendlies, 7 goals in 8 games in cup competitions, 9 in 16 in the Champions League. 16 games is a lot of games in the Champions League, so they must have done well. But he hasn't yet scored for England, although he has had a player of the match and an assist for England, which is very nice to see. If we have a look at his milestones and go back to the 2018 season, we can see this is where they won the Europa League, and he won the Premier Division Young Player of the Month for May. They then did win the Community Shield. They also won the European Super Cup. A few Team of the Weeks was the Premier Division Young Player for August. He hasn't won a full Player of the Month award yet, but he did in September. That's where he won the full one as instead of the Young Player of the Year. Also broke the Champions League record for the youngest player to score in a match, which is a little bit unsurprising. And then it was named the England Under-21s vice-captain, which is nice, given how many goals he was getting. European Golden Boy for the second year in a row. Premier Division Player of the Month for December. Premier Division Team of the Weeks coming in. Premier Division Player of the Month for January. International debut versus Romania. That's pretty nice. And broke the England record for the youngest player to appear in a match, becoming the youngest ever England player. Premier Division Team of the Weeks coming in. Player of the Month for March. and for April, Footballer of the Year in the Premier League for Arsenal at 16 years old. 2019 Premier League Team of the Year. Runners-up in the Europa League. They didn't even make it to the Champions League knockout stages. Named in the Player of the Year, Supporters Player of the Year for Arsenal. Arsenal Best 11. Broke the Arsenal record for goals scored in a season with 40 goals. I think that record probably held by Henry if I had to make a guess. So doing well there. Young Player of the Month for May. So doing very, very well. And you can see just all these other sort of bits here and his biography if you want to have a look at that. But let's have a look at Arsenal's senior squad fixtures. If we go to the schedule for the senior side, you can see they did win the Community Shield. Jenkaldo Jr. with the goal in the 44th minute that proved to be the winning goal. And then they beat Real Madrid 1-0. Granit Xhaka, of all people, getting the goal there to beat Real Madrid. A very good performance there. He then scored 2 against his former team, Newcastle, to kick off the league season. In the Champions League, struggling a little bit against Real Madrid, crushing Rochdale, and then beating Roma 3-0, 2 goals from there. They must have failed to get out of this group, which is a bit surprising because they drew Besiktas and then beat them in the return one. It must be this defeat to Roma that has knocked them out. So they did get a goal, or he got a goal against Real Madrid, but it wasn't enough to send them through. They went through in the Carabao Cup quarter-final, though, 4-1. Jenkaldo Jr. with a couple of goals there. And through in the FA Cup as well. Beat Bournemouth 3-2 in the first leg, got the winning goal in that match. And then actually lost, I think. Or did they go through? I'm not sure. We'll find out in a second. But 3-0 against Portsmouth in the FA Cup. And yeah, they did finish third in their Champions League group. Roma and Real Madrid, difficult teams, but they should have finished above them, really. And managed to get through there with another goal. Knocked out in the FA Cup 3-1 in the 5th round. And it looks like they didn't make it to the Carabao Cup final. Went knocked out by Bournemouth, which is a little bit embarrassing. But got past Bordeaux. Got past Villarreal as well, 5-1 on aggregate, doing very well there. And in the semi-finals, 3-1 against Valencia, got a goal in the first leg. And in the second, they got through despite Xhaka getting sent off. And in the final, beaten 1-0 by Manchester City, who they knocked out of that competition at the semi-final stage last season. So a bit of justice there for City as they beat Arsenal in the final. Very close to going through again. If we have a look at the Premier League, we can see that Arsenal did finish in second place, just 5 points off the title. So a Premier League winners' medal surely on the cards for Jenkaldo in the future, not too far away. But as of so far, he's got the Europa League title, the Community Shield winners' medal, and the European Super Cup winners' medal. But that is it, which is not a lot for his first 2 seasons, given he's been at Arsenal for 2 ends of season anyway. But he does have another year of Champions League football to look forward to. Last time we did this experiment, the player ended up at Spurs, so quite funny he's now ended up at Arsenal. And we'll just have to see how he develops going forward. But do drop a like on this video if you are looking forward to the rest of this experiment. Make sure to let me know in the comments how many Ballon d'Ors you think he's going to win. And do subscribe. These experiment videos will be coming out every 2 days, hopefully for the duration of this game. But we'll have to see how that goes and how the interest picks up. So let's smash that like button and build up the experiments as much as we can. You can also follow me on Twitter using the link in the description. And as I said earlier, if you'd like to support the channel on Patreon, you can do that with the links down below. But until next time, see ya.